Let me tell you something that can completely change the way you live. People's opinions of you are none of your business. I want you to let that sink in for a moment. Because the truth is, most of the weight you carry on your shoulders every single day isn't from your own thoughts. It's from the voices of other people. Maybe it's something a family member said years ago that still echoes in your mind. Maybe it's the judgmental looks from coworkers who never say it out loud, but you feel it every time you walk past them. Or maybe it's strangers on social media who type a few words and suddenly your confidence takes a hit. But here's the reality, you don't have to live in that prison. Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself from doing something you wanted to do because you were worried about what people would think? How many times have you toned yourself down, stayed quiet, dressed differently, or held back your ideas? Not because you didn't believe in yourself, but because you were scared of someone else's reaction. That's not living free. That's living in chains. And the saddest part is those chains are invisible, but they're stronger than steel because they lock you inside a life built on fear of judgment. Here's what I've learned: when someone talks about you, it says more about them than it ever says about you. If someone calls you arrogant, maybe it's because they struggle with insecurity. If someone calls you weak, maybe it's because they need to feel strong by comparison. People's words are often just mirrors reflecting their own struggles. Yet we internalize them as if they are the truth. Why? Because deep down we crave approval. We want to be liked, we want to be validated, we want to belong. That desire is natural, but when it controls you, it destroys you. Imagine a performer stepping on stage in front of 1,000 people. Some in the audience will cheer, some will sit silently, and some will boo. If that performer bases their entire worth on the cheers, the silence, or the boost, their performance will crumble. But if they step on that stage knowing who they are, what they stand for, and why they're there, they will shine no matter what the crowd says. Life works the same way. You can't give your power to the crowd, because the crowd will always have a mix of opinions. Here's the hard truth: people will talk. Whether you succeed or fail, whether you speak up or stay silent, whether you chase your dream or play it safe, someone will have something to say. So if that's inevitable, why not do what you truly want anyway? Why not walk boldly in your truth, instead of shrinking yourself for people who probably don't even think about you as much as you think they do? Because let's be honest, most people are so focused on themselves, their own problems, their own insecurities, that their opinion of you is just a passing thought. Yet we give it the power to control our entire lives. The moment you stop chasing approval, something magical happens. You start living authentically. You dress the way you want, you speak your truth, you go after the goals that matter to you. You stop apologizing for existing. And that authenticity, that's where real confidence is born. Not the fake confidence of trying to look good for others, but the unshakable confidence of knowing who you are, regardless of what anyone else thinks. So here's what I want you to remember. You are not people's opinions. You are not their compliments, and you are not their criticisms. You are who you decide to be. When you finally detach yourself from the weight of what others think, you don't become arrogant, you become free. And freedom, true freedom, is the most powerful form of peace you'll ever experience. There is a hidden power inside every single one of us, but most people never discover it because they're too busy reacting to everything around them. Think about the last time someone pushed your buttons. Maybe they insulted you, cut you off in traffic, ignored your message, or made a sarcastic comment in front of others. What happened? You felt that fire rise inside your chest, your blood pressure went up, and before you even thought it through, you reacted. Maybe you shouted, maybe you got defensive, maybe you said something you later regretted. In that moment, who was in control? You or them. That's the harsh truth. Every time you let someone trigger you, you hand them the remote control to your emotions. Now imagine this someone presses that same button, but this time nothing happens. They insult you, and you just smile calmly. They try to provoke you, but you don't give them the reaction they're fishing for. They expect drama, but you give them silence. Suddenly, the power shifts. Suddenly, they're the one confused, frustrated, and powerless. That is what true strength looks like, not in raising your voice, not in proving a point, but in mastering your own response. You see, being unbothered doesn't mean nothing affects you. It means you've trained yourself to pause before reacting. It means you understand that emotions are like waves. They rise, they peak, and then they fade. If you can ride the wave instead of drowning in it, you win. Most conflicts in life don't come from what people say, but from how we react to what they say. Words can only cut you if you let them. Silence can only hurt if you give it meaning. But when you stand rooted in self-control, you become untouchable. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone calls you a failure. If deep down you believe it, You'll get defensive, you'll argue, you'll try to prove them wrong. But if you know your worth, if you're confident in your journey, their words won't even sting. You'll shrug it off because you've already decided their opinion doesn't define your reality. The trigger loses its power when you refuse to pull it. Think about athletes at the highest level. A fighter steps into the ring, the crowd is screaming, their opponent is taunting, emotions are running high. If that fighter lets anger take over, they lose focus, they make mistakes, they burn out. But the calm fighter, the one who controls his emotions, he's the one who sees clearly, who moves strategically, who wins. Life is no different. Every argument, every challenge, every insult, it's your ring. And the person who controls their emotions controls the outcome. Here's the real secret: people test you to see how much power they have over you. The one who gossips, the one who mocks you, the one who ignores you. They're all watching to see if they can shake your peace. And every time you explode, you confirm that they own you. But every time you stay calm, every time you breathe before responding, every time you walk away instead of lashing out, you remind them and yourself that no one owns you. And let's be honest, we all slip. We all let emotions get the best of us sometimes. But mastery isn't about being perfect, it's about progress. Every time you catch yourself before reacting, you're getting stronger. Every pause, every moment of silence, every calm response is like lifting a weight in the gym. It builds your emotional muscle. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this: you don't have to attend every fight you're invited to. You don't have to answer every insult. And you don't have to match every negative energy thrown your way. You are not obligated to react. And when you learn to control your emotional triggers, you'll realize that the greatest victory isn't defeating them. It's mastering yourself. One of the hardest lessons to learn in life is that not everyone deserves access to you. We grow up being taught to be polite, to please others, to always say yes. And somewhere along the way, we start believing that our value is measured by how much we sacrifice ourselves for the comfort of others. But here's the truth you need to embrace if you want peace: boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that allow the right people in and keep the wrong ones from draining you. Think about how many times you've said yes when everything in you wanted to say no. Maybe it was staying late at work when you were already exhausted. Maybe it was loaning money you couldn't afford to give. Maybe it was listening to someone complain endlessly when all you wanted was silence. Every time you betray yourself just to keep others comfortable, you chip away at your own peace. And the problem isn't them, it's you. Because you taught them that your limits don't matter. You taught them that your time, your energy, your mental health are all available for free. But here's the shift that changes everything. When you start setting boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. If you respond to every call at midnight, they'll keep calling. If you always say yes to every favor, they'll keep asking. But when you draw the line, calmly, firmly, without guilt, you show them that your time and energy are valuable. And guess what? The right people will respect those boundaries, and the wrong people will get offended. Either way, you win because you're no longer letting others control your peace. Now, I know what you're thinking, but if I say no, won't people think I'm selfish? And the answer is no. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's survival. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give your best to your family, your career, your goals if you're constantly drained from saying yes to things that don't serve you. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you a strong one. It means you value your life enough to prioritize what matters. Picture this. Imagine your peace of mind as a house. If you leave the doors wide open, anyone can walk in. Friends, strangers, thieves, noise, chaos. Everything comes pouring in and takes over. But if you close the doors and only open them for the right people, your house stays safe, clean, and peaceful. That's what boundaries do. They don't isolate you, they protect you. And here's the beautiful part: once you start living with boundaries, people will treat you differently. They'll realize they can't just dump negativity on you whenever they feel like it. They'll realize they can't keep draining your energy without giving anything back. And those who truly care about you won't walk away. They'll adjust because they value the relationship enough to respect your limits. Of course, some people will resist. They'll call you difficult, cold, or distant. But what they're really saying is, I don't like that I can't take advantage of you anymore. And isn't that exactly the kind of person you don't want controlling your life? The people who love you will celebrate your boundaries because they'll see a stronger, healthier, more confident version of you. So remember this: every time you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to your peace. Every time you enforce a boundary, you're declaring that your life matters, your energy matters, and your happiness matters. You're not here to be a doormat. You're here to live boldly, to protect your soul, and to give your best only where it truly belongs. Boundaries are not rejection, they are self-respect. And once you build them without guilt, you'll realize that nothing feels more freeing than finally taking back control of your life. Not everything in this world deserves your attention, and yet most of us hand it out like it's free candy. We give our focus to gossip, to negativity, to distractions that don't add anything to our lives. And then we wonder why we feel exhausted, overwhelmed, and stuck. But here's the truth. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you have. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your life grows. If you want to build a life of peace and power, you must learn to be selective with your attention. Think about it. How many times have you been caught up in an argument that didn't matter? How many hours have you lost scrolling through social media, comparing your life to strangers who don't even know you exist? How often have you replayed an insult in your mind over and over, giving it more power than it ever deserved? Every time you do this, you're feeding what drains you. You're watering weeds instead of flowers. And the more you water weeds, the more they take over your garden. Now imagine this instead: you stop feeding the weeds. You stop giving your energy to things that don't serve you. You hear the insult, but you don't dwell on it. You see the distraction, but you don't give it your time. You notice the negativity, but you walk past it. Suddenly, your energy isn't wasted on nonsense. Suddenly, you have the strength to focus on your goals, your growth, your peace. That is the power of selective attention. Here's something you need to remember. You can't control everything people say or do, but you can control what you give your attention to. If you keep staring at the things that annoy you, they'll keep growing in your mind. If you keep talking about the people who frustrate you, they'll live rent-free in your head. But when you choose to shift your focus, when you choose to give your attention to what inspires you, empowers you, and makes you better, you starve the negativity. And what you starve eventually dies. Look at the most successful people in the world. Do you think they spend their time arguing in comment sections, chasing every rumor, or proving themselves to critics? Of course not. They're too busy focusing on what matters. They know their attention is their superpower, so they protect it like treasure. And that's exactly what you need to do. Protect your focus. Guard your energy. Don't waste it on things that won't matter 5 years from now, or even 5 days from now. Here's the truth: not every battle is yours to fight. Not every comment deserves your reply. Not every problem is yours to solve. And the moment you accept that, your life becomes lighter. You start walking with calmness because you're no longer pulled in 100 directions by meaningless distractions. You start to feel powerful because you've stopped feeding what weakens you. Of course, this doesn't mean ignoring everything. It means being intentional. It means asking yourself, does this deserve my attention? Will focusing on this make me stronger, happier, more at peace? If the answer is no, then walk away. If the answer is yes, then give it your full focus. Because when you give the right things your attention, you grow in ways you never thought possible. So here's the challenge. Start practicing the discipline of focus. Next time someone tries to drag you into drama, choose silence. Next time negativity calls for your energy, don't answer. Next time your mind wants to replay something painful, redirect it towards something productive. Every time you do this, you're taking back your power. And when you live this way, people will notice. They'll wonder why you don't get caught up in the noise anymore. They'll wonder why you always seem calm, unshaken, unstoppable. The answer is simple. You've mastered the art of selective attention. And that skill alone can change the entire course of your life. One of the most dangerous traps we fall into is living our lives for other people's approval. From the time we're kids, we're trained to crave validation. We want the gold star from the teacher, the pat on the back from our parents, the applause from the crowd. And as we grow up, it doesn't stop. It just changes shape. Now it's likes on a post, compliments from strangers, or recognition from bosses and peers. And slowly, without even realizing it, we start basing our worth on other people's reactions. But the truth is, the moment you depend on validation to feel good about yourself, you hand over your power. Think about it. If someone praises you, you feel on top of the world. But the second they criticize you, you crash. That means your emotions are on a leash, and the person holding it is everyone except you. That's not confidence, that's captivity. Real confidence is built on self-respect, not on applause. Because applause is temporary, but self-respect stays with you forever. When you live for validation, you become fragile. One negative comment can shatter you. One rejection can paralyze you. One person's disapproval can make you question your entire path. But when you live with self-respect, you become unshakable. You understand that your value isn't negotiable. You stop begging people to see your worth, because you've already seen it yourself. Imagine this: two people walk into a room. One is desperate to be liked. They laugh too loudly, they agree with everything, they bend over backward to fit in. The other person walks in calm, confident, comfortable in their own skin. They don't try to impress anyone, but people notice them anyway. Why? Because self-respect is magnetic. When you respect yourself, others can feel it, even without you saying a word. And here's the irony: the more you chase validation, the less you get it. People can sense desperation, and it pushes them away. But the more you live with self-respect, the more validation comes naturally, because people are drawn to authenticity. When you don't need their approval, you gain their respect. That's the paradox of confidence. It grows not when you beg for attention, but when you stand strong without it. This doesn't mean you ignore all feedback. Growth requires learning from others. But there's a difference between being open to wisdom and being desperate for approval. One makes you stronger, the other makes you weaker. When you respect yourself, you can listen to criticism without crumbling, because you know it doesn't define you. You can take advice without losing your identity, because you already have a foundation inside you that no one else can shake. So ask yourself, how many times have you changed who you are just to fit someone else's expectations? How many times have you silenced your voice, hidden your dreams, or denied your truth just to avoid disapproval? And did it ever make you truly happy? Of course not, because no amount of outside validation can replace the emptiness of betraying yourself. But the moment you choose self-respect, everything changes. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you're enough, because you already know it. And here's the best part: when you build your life on self-respect, no one can take it away from you. Compliments feel good, but you don't depend on them. Criticism stings, but it doesn't break you. Approval becomes a bonus, not a necessity. Living this way doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you free. Free to chase your goals without worrying about who claps. Free to speak your truth without waiting for permission. Free to be yourself without fear of rejection. And that freedom, that unshakable self-respect, is the key to becoming truly unbothered. Because when you respect yourself, you no longer need the world to do it for you. There's a kind of strength most people never discover, because they think power only comes from fighting, proving, and winning every battle. But true strength often shows up in silence, in calmness, in the simple yet difficult act of walking away. It feels counterintuitive. We're raised to believe that if someone disrespects us, we must clap back. If someone challenges us, we must defend ourselves. If someone insults us, we must prove them wrong. And yet, more often than not, engaging in those battles doesn't lift us up. It drags us down to the same level as the people trying to provoke us. Walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that your energy is precious and your peace is priceless. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You don't have to prove your worth to those who refuse to see it. Sometimes, the most powerful response to disrespect is no response at all. Because when you refuse to participate in the chaos loses its hold on you. Think about the times you've gotten sucked into arguments that went nowhere. Maybe it was with a stranger online, maybe it was with a coworker who always wants the last word, or maybe it was with a friend or family member who knows exactly how to push your buttons. Did winning that argument actually change anything? Did it make you feel lighter, stronger, freer? Or did it just leave you drained, replaying the conversation in your head long after it ended? That's the trap of trying to win every battle. You end up losing your peace in the process. Now picture this instead: someone tries to provoke you, and you simply smile and move on. They want to fight, but you don't give them one. They want your energy, but you don't hand it over. You walk away with calmness, and in that moment, you're not the weaker one. You're the stronger one. Because power isn't about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. And there is nothing more powerful than choosing peace when chaos is begging for your attention. Of course, walking away doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. It doesn't mean staying silent when your voice is needed. It means having the wisdom to know which battles are worth fighting and which ones are just distractions. Not every insult requires a response. Not every argument deserves your presence. Not every door that opens needs to be walked through. Choosing your battles wisely is how you protect your time, your energy, and your future. And let's be honest, walking away is hard. It feels like surrender. It feels like you're letting the other person win. But here's the secret: you're not letting them win. You're deciding the game isn't worth playing. Victory isn't always about outshouting someone. Sometimes it's about outgrowing them. When you refuse to lower yourself to the level of pettiness or negativity, you're not losing, you're rising. The truth is, some people thrive on drama. They feed off reactions, off attention, off conflict. The more you engage, the stronger they feel. But the moment you stop playing along, the moment you walk away, their power crumbles. Because without your energy fueling the fire, their spark burns out. And in that silence, you discover something incredible. Peace feels better than winning. Walking away also creates space for something better. Every time you let go of toxic arguments, draining relationships, or environments that don't serve you, you make room for growth, for clarity, for people and opportunities that align with your values. You stop wasting your life trying to prove your worth to the wrong people, and you start investing your energy into becoming the best version of yourself. So remember this, walking away doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to value your peace over pointless battles. It means you've realized that not every fight is worth your spirit, not every critic is worth your attention, and not every argument is worth your energy. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is made in silence. Sometimes the strongest step you can take is the step you take away. At the end of the day, becoming unbothered isn't about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about taking your power back. It's about realizing that people's opinions don't define you, that your emotions belong to you, that your boundaries protect your peace, that your attention shapes your reality, that your self-respect is worth more than any applause, and that sometimes the greatest strength is found in walking away. When you live by these principles, you don't just look calm on the outside, you feel free on the inside. You stop being controlled by the noise around you and start being guided by the clarity within you. And that's where real confidence lies. Not in the approval of others, not in how loud you can shout back, but in how steady you can stand no matter what comes your way. So, from this moment forward, make a decision. You will no longer hand your peace over to anyone. You will no longer let negativity pull you into its storm. You will no longer shrink yourself for approval that was never worth chasing in the first place. Instead, you will rise with calmness, move with purpose, and carry yourself with a quiet strength that no one can shake. Because the truth is, the most unbothered people in the world are not the coldest or the hardest. They are the ones who know who they are, where they're going, and what they stand for. And once you become that person, life doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. And when you're stronger, nothing and no one can stop you.